What is good, Tsla family? It's Ray J back with another video, and this one I want to talk about something very important that's going on with the markets as we're starting to see some potential breakouts forming, which could lead to some potential temporary upside in the markets. I'm going to break down exactly why that is and some important levels to watch for. But before I do anything like this, let me just mention a couple of things. Firstly, I am not a financial planner, so take nothing I say as financial advice. And also, if you guys can, please check out the Moomoo link, which is down below and in the description. If you sign up for Moon, deposit $100 into the account, you are guaranteed up to 5 free stocks. If you deposit $1,000, you're guaranteed up to 15 free stocks, and this offer ends very soon in just a couple of weeks. Anyways, now let's break down what's going on with Tesla and the markets. Looking at Tesla, we saw something very interesting. We called out this support in the morning. I said Tesla must hold this support to try to, maintain the level it's at and try to bounce. But if we lost this support, we would have turned a lot more bearish. Instead, Tesla ended up holding its support. SPY also did the same thing. And we saw these things bounce very nicely, and now Tesla's trying to break this resistance right over here, which is looking pretty decent. So Tesla's showing signs of trying to break out, especially after all the red days we got simultaneously. And we're going to be watching to see if Tesla could close above these levels. I'm going to call them out in just a few minutes. But I first want to talk about this. So the data came out today. Things were looking quite okay and decent. Initial jobless claims was a little bit low, but everything else was as expected. On top of that, I just want to mention that the PMI report came out today. This was close to expectations. Everything was fine there. And then at 11:30 a.m., we had the 4-week and the 8-week bill auctions. So this just came out a few minutes ago. This was as expected. So all the data has been quite decent. And then we have more data coming out tomorrow when it comes to Friday. So we'll be watching for all of this later on, but there's nothing else too crazy coming out for today. But now I just want to break down the setups and the charts as we are starting to see the bulls gaining the edge. So starting off with Tesla, we're going to start off with Tesla for now. Tesla right now, especially on the 30 minutes time frame, we're starting to uptrend right here. We're breaking above our 50 EMA. Tesla was testing that as resistance, and we finally are starting to show some life. This is a good sign for Tesla. Tesla's currently at this 242 area. If we break above this resistance, our next important level is going to be 244. If we break this, we have 245.7 and then 247.5, followed by 250. For support, make sure you watch 240. That's going to be critical for it. There's technically 241, but it's not that tight. And there's 240 flat. If we lose 240, you're going to be watching this trend line, because when you zoom out like this, you will notice that we basically had this channel Tesla was stuck in, right? We had this resistance. This white line was resistance. It was also support right here. And we're starting to break out of it. We're starting to break this resistance, which is starting to show some life. So I'm saying that because if we lose 240, you're going to be watching this becoming support. This line is going to become our support. And if we lose this line right here, then we'll come all the way down towards 237. That's going to be key support, followed by 236. So those are the levels to watch for on Tesla. How is it looking in my opinion? Well, we're testing 242 as resistance right here. I know I didn't really draw a line there, but I don't want to draw too many lines, but it doesn't really matter. I'll just draw it anyways. So we have this 242 area as resistance. If we manage to close above here, we're going to turn bullish, and we could see Tesla try to push back into the 244 plus area. But watch that area right now. We're kind of just like shuffling around here. We're kind of range trading around the 242s. It might continue to do so for some time, but overall, it is trying to bounce right here. Once again, in the morning, I said if you want to be bearish on Tesla, we had to lose this zone right here. You guys can see this red zone. If we lost this, we would turn bearish. Instead, we bounced off of it. The buyers are stepping in and they're trying to defend Tesla very nicely. But the epitome of support being held is SPY. So on SPY, I called out 460, and I told you if you want to be bearish, we need to see this thing either lose 468 or close below 468. That's going to be really bearish if we had lost that. Instead, at this critical support, because 468 is a very pivotal level for SPY, we ended up bouncing off of it. We bounced off of it, got some buyers stepping in, and then SPY started pushing very, very nicely. Going on to SPY's charts on the 30 minutes time frame. Check this out, guys. We actually broke above the 50 EMA, which is a good sign of strength. If we keep breaking out, our next target is going to be the 200 EMA, looking at 472.46 on the 30 minutes time frame. The 30 minutes time frame, excuse me. So right now, we're actually holding support very nicely. We're starting to show some life, and this is a good sign for the markets. So another thing that's worth noting for SPY is this. We had this channel we were also stuck in. You guys can see this channel we were stuck in. We made an attempt to break out in the past and ended up failing. So we're going to be watching, is the same thing going to happen, or are we about to break out? Are we going to turn back to bearish if we end up losing this support and we come back down into this channel? That's going to be bearish, but we have to drop like 2 points on SPY for that to happen. So it's going to be a big drop we need to turn back to bearish. So far, it hasn't really done that. To be bullish, you want to see this thing just continue to hold above 470, start pushing up. And I actually favor the upside now since we got a nice double bottom, and we might just try to continue to push. We held 468 very nicely. We're holding above 470. It's showing some nice strength and some nice life. So now it's favoring the bulls just a little bit more for the short term. I also want to call this out on SPY. So when I zoom out like this, I just want to mention that you could interpret this as like a cup and handle or even like a head and shoulders, because what if, just what if, right, we have a setup that's forming that looks like this. Basically, we have this left shoulder right here, right? We have a nice left shoulder. Then we have this head, right? And then now we're about to form like a right shoulder and then come back down. Like, what if that's what's about to happen, right? Does it have to be perfect? It doesn't have to be perfect. Now, I can promise you, I cannot promise we're going to go all the way up to 475. No guarantees yet. And what I like to do is just take it one level at a time. So right now we're at 470. Our next level, we have some resistance at 471. Then the stronger resistance is going to be on the 30 minutes time frame at the 200 EMA at 472.5. That's going to be stronger resistance. We'll be watching to see if we can get up there first before we talk about any higher levels. So I'm going to be watching this. I'm going to keep this set up in the back of my mind just to be safe. But what do I see from SPY? We're basically just shuffling around 470. We will see if this thing could hold above 470. If we could try to close above that, that's going to be a good sign. And also if this thing could push up even more. On top of that, if we break 471, we have our targets. We have an imbalance at 472.5. And we also have another imbalance at 475. So we could start pushing. Watch resistance at 471. Watch support at 470. Below 470, we have basically our next support around 469 flats. Technically, that was close to the, I think, the 5-minute 50 EMA. And then below that, we have pretty much just 468 as critical support. So we'll be watching this all very carefully. If we lose 468, we turn very bearish. We haven't done that yet. We bounced off of that instead. And if we hold above 470, there's going to be a potential for it to push up higher. On the QQQ, I just want to mention that the QQQ is very similar to SPY, trying to break out. Not as strong though. It's not looking as strong because of Aapl. We have this very, very nice looking pattern right here. Watch resistance around 399 to 400. That's going to be our resistance. If we break above 400, watch 402. Watch this green trend line as resistance, not to mention 402. For support, make sure you watch basically 397.5. If you lose that, your next level is going to be 396.5 and 395. The QQQ is showing some life. It's trying to break above this white resistance trend line. So you see this white line right here. It's trying to break that. But we'll be watching to see if this thing can close above 400 or not. Can we get another push tomorrow? We'll be watching this just to see how it looks. If we do close above this white trend line, there's going to be some potential for it. So we'll be watching this very carefully. But once again, it's not looking as strong as SPY. It's not looking as strong. Nvidia had the inverse head and shoulders I called out in the morning, right? We have a nice inverse head and shoulders. For this to play out, you want to see this thing break all the way up to 488 to 490. You want to see it get up to this resistance. We want to see it break 485 for us to get up there. That's like the bullish case. The bearish case would be we lose 482 and then 480, and our critical support is going to be around 473. If it loses that, it's going to invalidate this setup. But right now, it's holding nicely. Nice inverse head and shoulders. This could help the QQQ. It might start pushing back closer to 490. It looks bullish overall with the inverse head and shoulders. So it favors the bulls a bit more. For Aapl, in my opinion, hold on one second. Aapl looks okay. Not that strong, though, because the thing about Aapl is it came down to 181. But although it came down to 181, it started to bounce. We called out 181. If we lost that, then 180 was our next level. We managed to hold 181. Now we're pushing back up to 182, but it's kind of flat. We have a big gap on Aapl all the way up to 184. You guys can see this gap up here. So it might try to fill that gap. It has a big gap to fill. If we break above 182.5 and we manage to close above that, there's a good chance it might try to fill the gap. Otherwise, it's kind of stuck between the 182s basically. So watch 182.5 as resistance, 183, 183.5, and then 184.25. For support, make sure you're watching basically 182. If we lose 182, then our next critical support is 181. Kind of shuffling right now. It's not looking that strong, but there could be an attempt to push up. So watch it carefully, and we'll see if it tries to fill this gap tomorrow or maybe even next week or not. If it does start pushing to fill this gap, this could drag the market up higher. So we'll be watching for that as well. We'll see how things go. So watch and see how the market looks, guys. See how we end up holding support, and let's see if this breakout lasts for SPY and these different stocks, because there is potential for it. For SPY to turn bearish, we need to basically not just lose 470. Losing 470 would be a little bearish, but not that bad. If we lose 468, that's when we turn really bearish on SPY. So we'll be watching to see if that holds. Right now we're above 470, so we're looking pretty good. And we'll be watching to see if this breakout lasts on SPY and also for Tesla and these different stocks. Tesla's holding very nicely above 240. We will see if this lasts. Let's see if Tesla could actually try to break above the 50 EMA on the 30 minutes time frame. There's definitely potential for it. I'll be watching this very carefully. But that's it for this video, guys. I want to call this out as fast as possible. Watch your levels carefully. The market's showing some signs of trying to bounce, and we'll be watching this going into close and also into next week. With that being said, thank you for listening. Have a great day. Remain calm, cool, and collected, and peace out.